Hello, and welcome to How to Communicate Effectively with Diverse Groups. My name is Ashley Says, and today I will be discussing communication with diverse groups. First, we will be discussing the current statistics regarding diversity and cross-cultural communication. Next, we will discuss the overall importance of communication with diverse groups. We will then discuss the major obstacles that we often encounter during the communication process. We will then talk about how to overcome these obstacles and communicate effectively. Finally, we will wrap up with a conclusion and action steps to improve our communication skills. In order to begin discussing communication with diverse groups, we need to first define what is diverse. Someone is diverse if they are different from another, or are they composed of distinct or unlike elements or qualities. As most of us know, it is basically impossible to interact with others who are exactly like us. Now that we have clarified the meaning of the word diverse, we will now discuss some statistics regarding diversity. In 2009, the U.S. population was 306,515,750. 50% of this population were women. And while Caucasians made up 75% of the population, the Hispanic and African American communities were growing at 12%. In the largest 100 U.S. cities, non-Hispanic whites make up less than 50% of the population, and population predictions for the year 2050 show that non-Hispanic whites will make up only 52% of the population, while Hispanics will make up 21%, African Americans 15%, Asian and other ethnicities will be making up 11%. Now, to begin to understand how to effectively communicate with diverse groups, we must first understand why diversity is important. There are several reasons why diversity is valuable. First, diversity helps us to be overall more open and accepting. Diversity can also help us to see challenges from other viewpoints that we might not see before. Diversity can also help to improve productivity in the workforce. A diverse workforce can also help a company to better respond to their diverse set of customers and stakeholders. A diverse workforce can also lead to higher levels of innovation and discovery. So why is diversity important to organizations? As this chart shows, from a Gallup poll taken on December 8th of 2005, employees are much more loyal to companies that they rate highly on their diversity efforts. In fact, 65% of those surveyed said that they would leave an organization due to the lack of diversity. 54% said that diversity has a positive impact on day-to-day work, and 51% said that diversity has a positive impact on the organization as a whole. Diversity in the workplace can also help in legal instances such as lawsuits and other legal problems. A diverse workforce can also help to boost a company's reputation. Finally, diversity is essential for an organization to exist on an international level. Cultural competency is necessary to operate in any global market. Now we will move on to discuss some of the biggest obstacles people often face when trying to communicate cross-culturally. One of the most obvious obstacles to communication with diverse groups is the language barrier. In fact, 1 in 5 U.S. residents speaks a language other than English in their home. While none of us like to admit it, negative attitudes such as prejudice, stereotyping, and discrimination can also play a part when trying to communicate with a diverse workforce. Resistance to change is often a large obstacle when trying to communicate the importance of diversity to a workforce, because most workers often do not see the need for diversification because they have always done it this way and it has always seemed to work. Trust is crucial when communicating with diverse groups. If there is a lack of trust in diverse work teams, it can often lead to chaos. Now we move on to learning how to communicate effectively with diverse groups. In her book, Leadership Communication, Deborah Barrett identifies 5 variables that are necessary to consider when trying to communicate with members of different cultures. First, we have context. Cultures are considered either high or low context. High context cultures rely heavily on interpersonal relationships to construct meaning. Low context cultures rely more on explicit verbal messages to construct and understand meaning. For example, the culture in the United States is a low context culture. The next variable discussed by Barrett is information flow. People that come from high or low context cultures will approach the exchange of information differently. The third variable is time. There are 2 main cultural views on time. First is polychronic. The polychronic view on time states that time is a state of being, open-ended and flexible. The monochronic view on time states that time is linear. It's one event at a time. The fourth variable is language. This does not refer just to a matter of speaking different languages. It also includes things like syntax, vocabulary, dialects, and jargon. Finally, the fifth variable is power. Different cultures view power and equality differently. Some cultures believe in strict hierarchies, and others see everyone as equals. Barrett also points out several actions we can take to assist ourselves in communication with diverse groups. First, and most important, is to be open and respectful. It is important to know that all cultures are valuable and important in their own ways. Next, know the social customs. Be sure to know what is considered appropriate and inappropriate in the culture. You don't want to offend anybody. Next, the best way to know if you're truly respecting a culture is to obtain feedback from members of that culture. Finally, be patient, be flexible, and value the time needed to develop relationships. And in many cultures, it takes time and effort to form meaningful relationships. Finally, when trying to improve cross-cultural communication in an organizational setting, a diversity initiative might be the best option. A diversity initiative is an organization's strategic response to diversity. There are several things that a diversity initiative can accomplish. First, it can help to improve corporate culture. Diversity helps to improve a corporation or organization's culture by adding open-mindedness and acceptance to its key imperatives. A diversity initiative also aims to improve recruitment of new employees. Most diversity initiatives have a strong focus on how to better hire and retain a diverse employee base. Next, a diversity initiative helps to improve client relations. As we said before, most organizations have a very diverse stakeholder base. And these stakeholders are usually very excited to see that the company is taking action in the name of diversity. Finally, diversity initiatives have been shown to help improve productivity. Organizations with high rates of diversity also show high rates of productivity. Today we have discussed several facets of cross-cultural communication. We discussed the current statistics regarding diversity in America, why diversity is important, the challenges we often face when trying to communicate cross-culturally, and finally, how to overcome those challenges. So where do you go from here? To get yourself started in improving your cross-cultural literacy, I provided some simple action steps that you can take. First, list the reasons why you think diversity is important and necessary. Next, have a brainstorming session and list all the obstacles you might face when trying to communicate with diverse groups. In this step, it is very important to be honest with yourself. Next, carefully consider each obstacle you listed and try to identify the actions you can take to overcome that obstacle. Next, create a list of actions and reminders that you can go back to when you are having difficulty communicating. Finally, give yourself a pat on the back for becoming. I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation and maybe learned something new along the way. Thank you for your interest and time.